All right, so let's take a look at arithmetic sequences in a little more detail. An arithmetic sequence is one in which the difference between any two consecutive terms is constant. This constant is referred to as the common difference, and usually you'll see it represented with D. So let's take this and apply it and see if we can answer some of these questions. If the first term of an arithmetic sequence is 4, and the difference between consecutive terms is 5, then what is the second term? Well, all we have to do is take the first term, which we said a sub 1 is 4, and our common difference is 5. And we can just do some very simple math and say, all right, 4 plus 5 gets us 9. That's my second term. If I want to find the third term, I'm going to add another common difference. So I'd add 5 again to that, and I would get 14. All right, so I got my first term, I got my second term, I got my third term, and then we're asked to go ahead and find, well, what would the 12th term be? So if we think about this without trying to come up with a formula or anything like that, every time we want to go one term in the future, we're adding the common difference another time. So to find the second term, we added the common difference one time. To find the third term, we added the common difference 2 times. So if we want to find the 12th term, we would go ahead and say, all right, I would take the first term, and we'll add the common difference, and then we'd have to figure out, well, how many times do we have to add that to get to the 12th term from the first term? Well, that would be 11 times. All right, so if we're thinking about that mathematically, that would look something a little bit like this. All right, well, the 12th term equals the first term, which was, let's just go ahead and plug that in, which was 4. And then we're adding the common difference of 5 11 times. So that would be 4 plus 55 is 59. If we kind of extrapolate that and say, hey, well, actually, we want to find the 80th term now, we could do the same process, right? So I could take this and say, well, this time I want to find the 80th term. Again, we'll start from the first term, add the common difference, and now we just have to figure out, well, how many times are we going to add that? Well, if we're going from the first term to the 80th term, that would be 79 times. And then if we go ahead and do that math, then we get 5 times 79, which is 395, and then we add 4 to that, and we get 399. So we've found the 12th term and the 80th term, and then we want to find a way to come up with the nth term. So you might want to pause here and see if you can come up with that equation on your own, where we don't, where we have a variable where if I wanted to plug in 1 to get the first term, then I would get the value of 4. If I plugged in 2 to that equation, then I would get the value of the second term, which is 9. So you can approach this a couple different ways on how you would write the formula for the nth term. But a way that we can tackle it is going to be explored below in our last problem, but we're going to use that formula now. So if you look down here, we could sort of look at this formula, a sub n equals the first term plus n minus 1 times the common difference. And we'll show you how that kind of relates to what we're doing up here. So if I wanted to use that formula, I'd say a sub n equals a sub 1 plus, and I usually put the common difference before, and then n minus 1. And the n and the 1 are related to, like this n here goes with here for the nth term. And this 1 is because we're using the first term here. So that's sort of the significance of what's going on here. So as we look at this, we can say, all right, I can find this formula by saying a sub n equals 4 plus 5 times n minus 1. Now that's not really a format that's terribly helpful, so we could kind of clean this up and put it in linear form where we distribute this 5 and kind of clean it up. And if we did, we'd have a sub n equals 5n, and then 5 times negative 1 is negative 5, and we'd add the 4 and we get minus 1. Now if you're not sure if you've done it right, you can take a look and say, well, if I plug in 1, do I get the value of the first term, which is 4? And you can see that you do. If I plug in 3, do I get 14? So 5 times 3 is 15, take away 1 is 14. So I can see that this formula works. Okay, so let's take a look at number 2. We have an explicit sequence, which means we can plug in 1 to find the first term or 2 to find the second term, given by this rule, a sub n equals 33 plus 2n. Is this sequence arithmetic? How can you tell? So let's graph it using a domain of the positive integers from 1 to 10 and kind of picture what's happening here. Okay. So as we go to graph these, this is our n-axis, or we can think of this as these are our inputs, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And if I plug in 1 to our explicit formula, I would get 33 plus 2 times 1. That gives me 33 plus 2 is 35. When I find my second term, 33 plus 2, but this time times 2 because it's our second term, and we get 39. For the third term, same deal, 33 plus 2 times 3, so 33 plus 6. Wait a minute. Let me go back and fix that. Okay, sorry, 33 plus 4 is 37, and then here we go, 39. There we go. Okay, so as we do this, you can kind of see what's happening every time. The first term is 35, the second term is 37, the third term is 39. You can see that these are going up, and you can see that what our common difference is, because that's how much it's going up by every time. So I can look at this and say, well, this is going up by 2, this is going up by 2. That tells me my common difference is 2. And you can see where that is in the equation. It's in front of the n. So as we look at this, we'll look at the graph to see how it's arithmetic. So let's just make this 35, and then we'll have these go up by 2. 37, 39, 41, and on and on. So the first term's 35, and 37, 39, 41, and on and on. So once we do all these terms, if I'd scaled this better, we'd see that sort of linear pattern. And you can see how that looks like it's got that constant common difference, or like a constant rate of change. And so yes, we can see that this is arithmetic, because when we look at it graphically, it looks linear, or you can see like the rate of change, or we have a common difference of 2. And all arithmetic sequences are going to have common differences. Okay, so seeing that what we're dealing with are really sort of linear functions that are not continuous, they're discrete, so we just have these points that are disconnected. Let's think about how much information would you need to be able to find a formula to represent an arithmetic sequence. So, for example, if someone tells you they're thinking about an arithmetic sequence, how many or which terms must be revealed so that you'd be able to create a function that would represent the terms of that sequence. So kind of like when we were dealing with linear functions, we can have 2 combinations of things. We can have one term and the common difference, right? And in a linear sort of equation, that one term is sort of like the point, and the common difference is like the slope, and so you would use point-slope formula. Or the alternative is we could have any 2 terms, and we'd use those 2 terms to then go ahead and calculate the common difference. And then when you're thinking back, like, how does this relate to linear functions? It's sort of like when you had 2 points, you'd first find the slope, and then you go ahead and use that slope and a point to write the equation. Same thing here, we're going to go ahead and find d, and then write the rule, or the equation. So that's kind of the process that would happen for this, and we'll get to see one of those in action in a minute. But for now, let's talk about this next sequence, 7, 17, 27, 37, 47. As you look at this, we want to write a recursive formula. So not an explicit one where you plug in 1 to get the first term or 2 to get the second term. We're going to write a recursive formula where we start with some given term. In this case, our first term is 7. And then we want to see, well, what's happening with this every time? So from 7 to 17, adding 10, adding 10, adding 10. So the way we do a recursive formula is we say, all right, a sub n, the rule for this is you take any prior term, so that would be a sub n minus 1. That's simply the term before the nth term. And then we would add 10. So it's really pretty straightforward. You just need to remember this whole a sub n minus 1 simply means the term prior to a sub n. All right, so that's recursive. Let's check out this explicit formula and this sequence. You might want to pause here and see if you can figure out the pattern that's going on here, and then come back and check on our work. So as I look at this, when we're trying to write a formula for this, as you look at it, 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, I can already see there's not a common difference. But the pattern is recognizable. So when you look at this pattern, you can kind of see what's happening to get from 1 to 2, 2 to 4, 4 to 8. I'm sure a lot of people already see we're multiplying times 2. All right, so that's what's happening here. Now, this is not an arithmetic sequence. This is actually a geometric sequence, which we're taking a little sneak peek at. So pause here and see if you can write an equation for this rule, and then come back and check our work. Okay, so a sub n would equal, and as if you looked at this, you'd think, well, each of these are base 2 numbers, like 2 to some power. So 2 to some power of n. Now, as I go and check this, if I plug in 1 to this rule as I've written it, I would get 2 to the 1, and that would be 2. That would actually be this term. So if I want to make it equal 1, I need to do a minus 1 here. So that by plugging 1 in, then I'm first finding 2 to the 0, right? So if you kind of want to think about it in table form, I plug in a 1 here, I get 2 to the 0, which is 1. I plug in 2 to find my second term, I get 2 to the 2 minus 1, that's 2 to the 1, which is 2. And then you can see that those terms kind of match up, and so on. So that's a geometric sequence. We'll work with those more in future explorations. Okay, last but not least, what we're going to do is use this formula to help us find a given term or the nth term for an arithmetic sequence. Now I can tell this is a formula for arithmetic sequences because it has D in it for common difference. Okay, so this kind of takes us back to that third question, which is how much information do you need to go ahead and write a sequence? And if you look at this, we have the first and the second terms, and we have their values. And so we're first asked to find the sixth term of a sequence using this information. So since I know the first term and the second term, I can see what the common difference is, and I can see it really intuitively. I can say, all right, well, to get from 12 to 20, we're adding 8, so the common difference is 8. Sometimes you might not be given 2 consecutive terms, so a formulaic approach to this would be to take, 2 terms that you have, even if they're not consecutive, meaning one after the other, and you would treat this kind of like slope. So we used to do rise over run. We would do the same thing here. We would take the term values, 20 minus 12, and then divide them by their places in the sequence, so 2 minus 1. And when you do that, you get 8 over 1, which is how we get this 8. So knowing this little formula here is helpful. All right, now we've got the common difference, and we have the first term. So I'm going to use that to find the sixth term, a sub 6. And I'm going to plug in, I know the first term right here. So I'm going to say, all right, that's 12 plus, and then the common difference is 8. And then our n in this case, we just said we're finding the sixth term, so that's the number that we're going to put in here. And so we're going to say, all right, that was 12 plus 8 times 5. Right? So we're adding the common difference 5 times to get from the first to the sixth term. So 12 plus 40 is 52. And that's our sixth term. All right, last but not least, we're going to find the 50th term using the same process. Now I could use the first term or the second term, it doesn't matter. I'm just going to stick with the first term. And it's going to be 8, and this time instead of 6 minus 1, it's going to be 50 minus 1. And so then we'll go ahead and do that math. All right, so then we get 12 plus 8 times 49. 8 times 49 comes out to 392, and then we'll go ahead and add 12 to that. So that's going to be 404. All right, so that covers it. That's our 50th term. And so this formula up here is really your friend. It's going to help you find any term in an arithmetic sequence.